Hi everybody, welcome to Squishy Reads. I'm Sydney, and today I am going to read all of the Wayward Children Chronicles. Bam. Hold on, I got this. Bam. Over the next week-ish, I am going to be reading every single one of the Wayward Children Series books, which should take approximately 2 hours each. They're each around less than 200 pages, so let's say 3 hours. At most, hopefully 3 hours. But I'm going to try to read each of them every day, and one of them every day. Words. I'm going to vlog my reactions and just give my overall impressions. I anticipate all of these to be 5 stars. Mostly because there are 5 of them. And I have read all of them except the most recent. So, for the first one is by they're all by Seanan McGuire, obviously. It's Every Heart a Doorway. I'm going to be reading them in published order. Down Among the Sticks and Bones. Beneath the Sugar Sky, In an Absent Dream, and Come Tumbling Down. This one is the one I haven't read. I got these all from my library because I'm a horrible human being and I don't own them. Because I have limited funds and even more limited space. Extremely limited space. But yeah. I'll be doing the little spoiler warning, hold the book up throughout this. But for fans of Alice in Wonderland type portal stories, these are great. They're very short, very to the point. To give a little description, it's basically like Fantasylands. Every kid, and it's a take on what happened to Alice. Every kid, before they turn 18, well, not every kid, some kids before they turn 18 find a door. And the door leads to their perfect world. And their world can be anything. Their world can be full of order, full of all this magicalness, whatever. If your kid likes being quiet, your kid likes being still, that kid might just find a world where they're all statues. Where they all have to be statues, and then they're rewarded for being the most still and statue-like. If the kid is energetic and happy and excited and just that ball of radiant energy, they could go to a world that's filled with candy. In a world that everybody's candy and everything's made of candy. And now the catch is that these kids don't always stay in these worlds. For one reason or the other, a lot of the kids leave these worlds. Whether or not it's by choice, encouraged, or they're simply kicked out because they didn't follow the rules of the world. And there are 2 different schools. There's one school, which is in this book, and it's about kids who get kicked out of their doors and want to find them and can't find them, or they're not allowed back in. Like, sometimes a kid leaves and they can't find their door again. They try, and they try. The kids who were kicked out of their worlds that can't find their door, who weren't kicked out of the world, sorry, and can't find their door, but want to go back, are so depressed. And this school exists for the parents who are like, oh yeah, my kid's delusional. They either went missing for a long period of time, or they thought they did. Time also works differently in these places. Or they thought they went missing for a long period of time, and they show them, they're like, oh yeah, it's gone for 10 years. And I was in this world, and realistically they've been gone for 10 minutes, or they thought they'd been gone for 2 days, and they'd been gone for 10 years. But they tell their parents, they're like, oh yeah, about this world, I love it, I miss it. And so they go and interview at the school, and it's by a woman who left her world, and can actually go in between her world. She is one of the few, if not the only adult, who can go back and forth, can just summon up her door and just go. There's another school for kids who don't want to go back, but we never see that school. But yeah, it's great. This one is about the school. This one is about a couple of the students. and it's like a prequel of sorts. And this is about one of the students, and I can't say much more than that. I can't even say where it falls in the timeline. That's pretty spoiler even then. This is a massive prequel, and is about one of the teachers. And this I have no idea because I haven't read it, and I don't believe in reading synopsises before I read books. So yeah, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I might split into different parts. I don't know. But yeah, next time you talk to me, I will either have read Every Heart a Doorway, or I will be about to start it, something along those lines. So, I'll see you then. Bye. Hi. So, it's a few days later, and I just now finished Every Heart a Doorway, which is the first book. And, oh wow, I have makeup underneath my eye. Sorry, it's been a long day of work training and chores I didn't do yesterday or the day before. But yeah, I finished reading Every Heart a Doorway today. It took me a while because of all the work and training and stuff. But third time I've read it, still 5 stars, still love it. And I feel like both times that I've reread it, I've forgotten, and it's a short book, and I've forgotten so much about it. I keep forgetting that there's fantastic trans rep, there is bisexual rep, there is asexual rep, there is androgynous rep. There is a lot of really good representation in this book. I also forget how very not child appropriate this book is and how very adult this book is. There's very early on, there's comments about masturbation. There's a lot of violence. Okay, decent bit of violence. A lot of violence for how short it is. But there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of stuff going on in this book. There's a lot that happens in such a short period of time, which is amazing. The only thing that I think bothers me about this book, because it's the first one, there's just some like minor writing things. Like occasionally it's difficult to figure out who they're talking about, like the she is this, she is that, and you have to look back for a second. And if I remember correctly, that doesn't happen in the later books, it's just this one. But I still love this book so much. I do love the rep. I just love how it's written. I love how whenever you reread it, you see different things. It's just a great introduction. I don't know, a lot of people I know that read it for the first time, or I've heard of that read it for the first time, don't rate it 5 stars. They maybe have to read 2 or 3 of the books to rate it 5 stars, because this is a great introductory book, and it's not meant to wrap up every loose end. It's not meant to explain everything about the world or everything about the characters, because there are other books. So far, there are 5 books in the series, and each book explains more and more. So whenever you finish a book, just expect that there's going to be loose ends. There's going to be things that haven't been answered that will probably be answered in future books, that will probably be addressed in future books. And they are. And it's fantastic. It leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting to read more. But every time that you read this, you find different things to love about it. And it's fantastic. I wouldn't say that this is one of my favorite ones. I'm going to wait until the end to rate it. But if I remember correctly, from what I've read before, this is not one of my favorite ones. I know that the second one is a lot of people's favorites, which is the one I'm going to read next, of course, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is a prequel, and it covers, it's a prequel that focuses on 2 of the main characters from the first one's world, and it explains like how they got into that world and what the elements were and why it was important to them and how it changed them, because, not really a spoiler, but the worlds are basically perfect for each kid in this book. I hope at some point it will touch upon the people who, like the kids who the worlds were not a good fit for and they hated their worlds. I really, really hope that a future book that she does, or maybe the most recent book, touch upon the kids who don't like their worlds. I really want to see that. I want to see the kids that don't like their worlds and why they didn't like them and why they weren't a good fit. I'm very curious. But yeah, the second book, I'm looking forward to it. The first one, like I've said, it's third time rereading it, third time rating it 5 stars. I fully anticipate that every book that I read, like all 5, even the 5th one, I anticipate that all 5 of them will again be 5 stars or be 5 stars for the first time. For those of you that have read this book, I feel like Lundy, this story, which I can't remember which one of these, there's another prequel book that's about somebody else's world, and I feel like the book that's about Lundy might be my favorite one. Unless Come Tumbling Down, which is the most recent one, takes that spot. But yeah. I don't know if I'll say as much about the rest of the books, but this is great. I love this book. At some point, I'll probably buy these books. Or I'll just keep getting them from the library. At some point, I'll get an apartment or a house where I can keep all these books and not live in a shoebox. But until then, this is what I got. I can't keep a lot of books. But yeah, I really like this. 5 stars. I'm now going to get on to the second one. Hopefully you guys will hear from me later today, if not tomorrow, because it's short and I'm not working tonight. So yeah, talk to you then. Okay, so I'm back. It's still the same day and I look more like a potato, but it's like 11:30 p.m. and I both start and finished the second book of the Wayward Children series, Down Among the Sticks and Bones. And I really like it. It's still a 5 star. Like, I love this book. I don't fully understand why this is people's favorite. I get if you had to choose between the first and the second, this would be a lot of people's favorites. But it's very self-contained, more so than I feel a lot of the other books are. So this is, like I said before, about 2 of the main characters from the first book. And it's a prequel. It's telling their story of finding their door and their story of being in their world and then also getting kicked out, which you read about in the first book, so it's not a spoiler. And also, that's what happens to everybody. That's how they got to the school in the first place. But it's very much painted where the world is like an old school horror movie, and it's a mixture between Frankenstein and Buglowski's Dracula, I think. Maybe Buglowski. It's a world where the original Dracula movie, what was the other book I said? Original Frankenstein movie, and think American Werewolf. I think it's American Werewolf. One of the more popular werewolf movies exists. And it's that kind of an atmosphere. And it very much reads like an old school, very over-the-top acting, very eerie, black and white horror movie. And it's great. And it also, what I guess I never realized before, the other 1 or 2 times I've read it, is how it's very much a commentary on gender roles and gender identities and just the way that we're expected to be by expectations put on by our parents, whenever parents force their kids into being people that they're not supposed to and trying to force them into gender norms. Even though it is about 2 girls, it talks about how basically one of them's treated like a boy, so she's given boy things. and one of them is expected to be the girly girl and is only allowed to do girly girl things, and they're not allowed to intermingle their interests, no matter what they actually like, because this is what a boy does and this is what a girly girl does, and it explores that very strongly, and I really like that. It also explores what happens whenever you allow people to finally break outside of their barriers and experience things that aren't part of their gender stereotype, which is great. And I feel like this book has a fantastic grasp on creating an atmosphere, especially more so than the first one. It's just very self-contained, which is probably why it's not my favorite book. Because while it is a prequel and it does explain a lot more about their characters, it's just self-contained. I hope that they revisit this world. I hope that it comes back. I hope that we hear about other children going to this world, or worlds like it. But it's just very self-contained. It's very much like, oh, this is a slice of life. This is a snippet story. And it's very one-dimensional. It's very, this is a horror movie setting. And it's very like, we're going to beat you over the head. This is a horror movie setting. And I like that. I really do. Like, I really like how this is a horror setting. And it's not saying sometimes one-dimensional can be good. In this case, it is good. It also tackles things about whether or not knowing somebody is a predator and being okay with it, does it still make them a predator? Which I think can go back along the lines of not necessarily pedophilia, but it kind of borders pedophilia. But whenever, say, 20-something-year-old, sorry about that, my hand's sore, but a 20-something-year-old, or say a 30-year-old likes an 18-year-old. It's legal. It's not pedophilia. Is it predatory? Or is that okay? Is it predatory if it's a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old? A 50-year-old with an 18-year-old, is that predatory? Is it predatory if it's in a state where a 22-year-old likes a 17-year-old and the 17-year-old's like, yeah, I understand that you're older than me, it's fine. But is it still predatory? Also, if you have somebody who is very obviously trying to take advantage of a person, like a child who is obviously using their parent for money and nothing else, but the parent's like, oh yeah, this is fine. I see that they need money and this is great. Is the kid still a predator? Is the kid still using the parent? Like, I think predator would be the wrong term in that, but it's a question is, if you are okay with somebody using you, does it make being used okay? And that tackles it very well. And also, I'm sure there's some classism thrown in there, but it's a great book and I really like it. And I can't wait to read the next one, which is Beneath the Sugar Sky. This one I really can't wait to read. I remember a little bit about this one. This is one of the more confusing ones, if I remember correctly. I really did enjoy, though. I think I've only read this one once, though. If I remember correctly. I've only read this one once. So I'm looking forward to rereading this one. I'm going to start it tomorrow. I'm actually going to edit and post this tonight, and I'm going to split it into two vlogs. Well, 2 videos. And so this video is going to have the introduction, which of course you're watching it. I'm going to edit the introduction and the first book and the second book. And then the second video will have the last 3 books and then the wrap up and what I think of the series, my favorite books. So look forward to that. Look out for that. I'm hoping that I'll have it posted with the second part within a week of posting this. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I've gotten 2 books down in the Wayward Children Series so far, and I have 3 more to go. 4 of which I have read, and Come Tumbling Down I have not yet read, and I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah,
Like if you like the video, comment if you have any ideas, suggestions, things you want to say, what you're reading right now, all that lovely stuff. Subscribe if you'd like. That'd be great. I'm going to try to post a lot of interesting things. And after this series is done, I have a big project in mind that's going to be split into several parts and hopefully going to be really interesting. So, I'll see you guys later. Bye!